And in other news, Mad Maxine is at it again. She's moved on from calling for her acolytes to attack Trump officials wherever they are, to now saying her opposition to all things Trump comes from a higher power.
We give her the dream to have someone in the White House who was divisive, who could not tell the truth, and who was intent on not making America great again, but taking America down. We all know that I'm here to do the work that I've been sent to do, and it's time to say to me when I'm here this morning, when God sent you to do something, you said do it.
Her own version of the Crusades. Well, this latest language comes after Judicial Watch filed an ethics complaint against her, inciting violence against the Trump cabinet. Let's bring in that man behind the effort, Tom Fitton, president of Judicial Watch. Tom, I know you've been all over this call to declassify these FISA documents as well, but now you're onto the Maxine story. Now, is this kind of a publicity stunt for Judicial Watch, or is this a real thing?
Yeah, I saw her call on people to get a crowd together if you see a cabinet member of the Trump team, if they're in department stores or restaurants or at gas stations, get a crowd together, push back, and tell them they're not welcome. You know, that's kind of inciting a riot. And we filed an ethics complaint. It's really easy to figure out whether or not comments like that reflect credibly on the House, which is the rule. And of course, they don't want to do anything about it. There was another member who said that maybe we should censure her. That's gone nowhere.
How has that gone nowhere? Is it because she's kind of an icon to the left? She's protected in her own way, and she's elderly, and so you don't want to make her a bigger story? Is that the reason no one wants to move on censoring her? I mean, she was, without saying it explicitly, saying, you know, get them.
I think it's fear-based decision-making by the Republican leadership.
They're afraid. We want to hear the audio, and then we want to hear what you had to say. Let's watch.
People do want to see us be stronger and more forceful and to confront them on these policies. You see anybody from that cabinet in a restaurant, in at a gasoline station, you get out and you create a crowd and you push back on them. They're going to absolutely harass them until they decide that they're going to tell the president, no, I can't hang with you.
You know, I like how the NBC anchors just sit there like, they look like mannequins. They don't say anything. They're like, wait a second, Congressman, there's no pushback by these people on these other networks. Imagine if a conservative said that about other people.
Harass public policy, public officials. But the House is going to let her use her position in the House to really attack people in inappropriate ways and incite violence. I think it's inciting violence, and I'd like the House to grapple with that. And as I said, it's fear-based decision-making by the House.
Oh, wimp. You're being nice. They're wimps.
They don't.
They're wimpy.
They don't want to confront Maxine Waters. They don't want to confront Rod Rosenstein. It's all
They're
part
afraid
of
this asylum thing. Now, in this asylum issue, you got this Congressman Yoder, who threw Trump $5 billion for the wall, and he wants to basically institutionalize DACA, codify DACA, and open up asylum to anyone who claims a criminal element in his country or her country, gang or domestic violence. How are we supposed to verify that? That was never asylum. It was racial or ethnic or religious or political persecution. And now it's if my country is too violent.
If you have a bad home life, you get asylum. That's the new
But these are Republicans doing this because they're afraid of the emotional arguments.
Well, the reason immigration is controversial here in Washington, D.C. is because the politicians want to do something none of the people want to do. It's always going to be controversial. The voters have to be alerted, and they'll push back.
All right, Tom Fitton, thanks so much. And joining us now with more on this growing thread is former House Oversight Chairman Jason Chaffetz, who's had many threats directed against him personally while he was in Congress. We're also joined by Democratic strategist and radio talk show host Garland Nixon. Great to see both of you. Jason, let's start with you.
Go back to Garland, Texas here, dude.
Things have gotten way out of hand. When we can't have a person walk into a restaurant wearing a Make America Great Again hat without being verbally assaulted, in some cases physically assaulted. If you support the president in a high school, you're called a racist, hater, xenophobe. And so there's free speech, but there's not free speech. And I think there are a lot of people who are afraid.
And they should be. I mean, look, after the Gabby Giffords incident, after Steve Scalise was shot and almost killed, also, you know, other members that were targeted because they were Republicans. Then you have House members on the Democratic side of the aisle, basically like Maxine Waters, inciting people to violence. I mean, this is the face of what the Democrats are putting up. It's the resistance movement. It's Antifa. It's targeted. It's aggressive. It's a scorched earth. And I got to tell you, I was on the receiving end of lots of it.
Garland, this is one of the types of calls, and I know Democrats get hate stuff too. I'm not saying it's just Republican. But since Trump, it's gotten worse. This is what Jason was subjected to. Let's listen.
I suggest you prepare for the battle, motherfucker, in the apocalypse. Because we're going to put you down, wrap her up around your neck, and hang you from a lamppost. You worthless piece of dog.
That's just... Garland, your reaction to the climate we're living in right now?
Well, you know, I think it's terrible, but it really isn't new. I mean, in fact, you know, I had some friends for years that worked for John Conyers, and, you know, I was aware of some very nasty calls that he got on a regular basis, so this isn't new. But I disagree with it. Let's not have a short memory. Let's not forget that President Trump, during the election, was inciting people at his rallies to beat people up.
That one comment. But you guys have
that's all you got. That one fucking thing, and what? That's it, and what? What else you got? And what? You got nothing.
Agree with it, but let's not like try to pretend that there's one party who's ever pushed this.
Have you seen a concerted effort on the part of conservative activists to attack people in public places? Someone's eating with his child or her child or family, just having a quiet dinner, and shouting at them, screaming, demanding that they and rattling off prattling on about all these, you know, these points. That's just not right. That's wrong.
Right, and I absolutely disagree with it.
Conservatives aren't doing that. That's all left-wing resistant dingbat stuff.
Right. I absolutely disagree with that because I'm a person who I'm a King-esque kind of person, so I believe in nonviolence. But let's not forget with Michelle Bachmann and the lock and load, this stuff is not new. There's been some dangerous rhetoric for many, many years, and hopefully both parties and both sides.
I don't think so. She was just pretty annoying and a dumbass.
It doesn't seem like that's happening, but I oppose it, and I think people from both sides of the aisle should step up to the plate and oppose this.
Yeah, those are nice words, but, you know, I don't see Democrats who actually will call out Maxine Waters. You know, if I do it as a Republican, then I'll get accused, you know, of just being a partisan. But when she does that, I don't see a Democrat who ever stands up and says, you know what, that's wrong. And through all the campaign with all the Trump and the rhetoric, which is a different scenario when somebody's heckling the president, you know, the candidate then in front of, you know, tens of thousands of people, you know, may not be excusable in your mind, but I went to Trump, you know, Trump rallies are out there. I've been with, you know, NRA rallies, and you don't see this kind of stuff. And I don't see the Democrats stepping up and taking some ownership and saying, you know what, folks, you got to tone it down.
Well, President Trump said to beat people up, and he would pay the bills, and he would cover their...
So that it wasn't smart to say, but it wasn't smart. But it was someone who was causing a huge ruckus just to get on camera, and it got the better of him in the moment. But this was not like a concerted effort by the candidate over a year and a half.
I had Deborah Messing of all people called me out on Twitter saying that we should take him down. Now, what does that mean? You want to go take some people down. Yes, I mean, it's unbelievable the number of celebrities that will also engage in taking them down. Using language. Look at the cover of the latest magazine. Essentially, I mean, cutting off Donald Trump's head and then mocking it with comedy. I mean, that's some really aggressive stuff.
We can say this morning, noon, and night, but if conservatives spoke like they do on a regular basis, physically approached people like they do on a regular basis, they would be holding candlelight vigils, okay? The left, they just melt on stuff like this, but they can do it. Maxine Waters can say these things with complete and utter impunity. and we're supposed to say, oh, it's just Maxine, how she's so, it's ridiculous. I mean, if you're a Democrat, it's like, Maxine, you're out of line. You're out of line.
Well, I don't think it's
passionate, be out there, but you're out of line. You sound like a complete buffoon.
I don't think it's with impunity, because right now, you're exercising your right to go after her, and I'm saying, you know, to a large extent, you are correct.
She's the toast of the town. She's all over Democrat politics, Garland. She's everywhere. She's invited. Wasn't she at the Oscars? She was like the Grammys. I mean, the woman is like the cause celeb of personage in the Democratic Party. But we'll see if anything happens. But we hope that nothing violent happens, because that would be the real tragedy of all this.